Um, can we talk about the aftermath of surgery? For
That is a really ugly
since yeah,
but unfortunately expanding topic and consequence of the transgender cult,
hmm
which has destroyed the lives of not just hundreds but thousands of young
thousand.
people and probably tens of thousands of adults as well, which I think is equally bad. The images, videos are available if you actually go to libs of TikTok or some on Instagram, although they're often taken down,
hmm
where these youngsters who have had these surgeries will video themselves, usually initially in an expression of pride, although not always. Sometimes the videos are of them crying, looking at their bodies and seeing the mutilation. They're pretty ugly. They look a lot like the pictures that I have seen of cancer surgeries,
Yes.
uh, horrible scarring, inflammation, swelling, um, oozing fluids from body cavities, lack of functionality, um, obviously aesthetically horrific. There's nothing pretty about surgically removing healthy breasts and leaving a
hmm
flat chest with a scar
Oof.
underneath it. Uh,
On a child.
on it, and this is often on
On a
children. These are on
child.
prepubescent girls
Yes.
to have these genitalia removed, have the penis removed and have it inverted to create a vagina, or to put on a prosthetic penis onto a vagina, creates horrible pain, strictures, urinary retention, obvious infertility and sexual impotence for life. These are catastrophic,
It's not
life
human nature to
changing.
do this.
No,
How
this
do
is
they do this?
I don't understand how any clinician, surgeon, therapist can actively support this
Yeah.
kind of intervention. This is not sexually affirming or gender affirming. This is gender denying.
hmm
This is saying we are going to deny your actual sex and gender as a woman,
Yes.
and we're going to put on this sort of costume like but permanent disfigurement that's going to presumptively switch you into the opposite sex, which is absurd. I don't think many Americans realize that all of these so called treatments lead to nothing that is promised. Absolutely nothing. Physically, they are abominable. And psychologically, and this has been proven and shown through some of the largest studies, the only ones we really have available in Denmark and the Netherlands, in Europe, longitudinal studies with 70, 80, 100,000 people through their sort of VA equivalent healthcare system, tracking people with what they call gender dysphoria, who have had these surgeries and hormone blockers, and those who haven't. They found conclusively that the rates of depression and even suicide are up to 19-fold higher in those who have undergone these so-called treatments than those who didn't, who also had gender dysphoria. So clearly these treatments are not only not helping, they're actually making things worse. And that's just an objective fact. That's not an opinion. So we can't even medically support this, much less obviously morally or ethically. And for us to have a system that encourages this as your first go-to option when you're suffering from a mental illness is evil. I don't know any other word that can describe this. This is not an error. This is not a medical confusion area of debate where we're wondering, well, the data is not fully in yet. We have to do our due. No, this is absolutely, I would call it catastrophic to the development of the next generation of adults, that if we don't stop this, we could lead down a road where we have a non-functioning society.
Yeah.
It's that bad. This is an issue that all Americans should be united.
It's wake up.
This is a wake-up call. This is a wake-up time. And we haven't woken up, which is funny because every other country seems to have woken up. England has already ended,
hmm
legally ended
Yes,
these
some
so-called
countries have.
transition clinics. The Tavistock Clinic was shut down, I think, a year and a half ago after class action lawsuits. And the courts actually found that medically it was indefensible. And they said, we're not doing this anymore. Same thing in France,
Mhm.
Spain, Italy. They're not doing any of this in Western Europe. So why are we continuing that? Why are we so far behind the eight ball? I think the reason is that we are probably the most fearful and compliant nation in
Compliant.
the entire world right now, which is the
Very agreeable
opposite.
people we are
We
as
want to be
Americans.
so agreeable,
Mhm.
and we used to be disagreeable. We used to
Yes,
be
what happened?
pioneering. We used to be aggressive. We used to break through forests and ice and climb mountains, and we used to take risks. We used to tell off the rest of the world when they were wrong and said, you know what, come after us. We know that we're right. You could call that hubris, you could call that arrogance, but at least it was strong. And we did overall the most good in human history, the United States did.
Mhm.
And I have to say, ashamedly, we are the exporters of some of the
Yeah.
worst ideas now in
Yes.
human history. It is so pathetic.
It is
I
pathetic.
feel very ashamed of my country right now.
I do too. And I think that the worst part is that there's a lot of corruption behind it too. A lot of corruption because look at how much you're praised for accepting these ideas and validating these ideas, and you get glorified for it. Like, certain mayors, like they bring like drag queens into schools, and they're glorified for it. So
That's correct.
they're glorified for it.